So this month, Duel Links didn't only get a brand new box, but Konami also gave us a whole bunch of brand new skills to try out, one of which is called Favorite Duel. Now at first glance, I wasn't too interested in this skill, as it's based around Flame Wingman, which has less attack than a glorified pigeon, but I decided what the hell, I'll give it a go. I went on an 11 game win streak. The only thing that actually broke my streak was this starting hand.
It's glorious. It's wondrous. It's burning my eyes!
Now if a starting hand of 4 null monsters is what it finally takes for this deck to crumble, it's gotta be doing something right. So here's today's deck list. Now just a reminder before I go through the deck list, if you're enjoying today's video, want to see more content like this, or just find this content useful, make sure to let me know by leaving a like on today's video and considering subscribing to the channel down below. I am looking to get to 100k by the end of the year, so I do really appreciate any support I can get. Especially if you're a frequent visitor to the channel and still haven't subscribed yet. Come on guys, do me a solid. Alright, let's get into the deck list. So as per normal, I won't be going through every individual card in this deck list right now, as it's just much easier for me to go through them as I play them during the gameplay, but I will give you a brief rundown on what this deck is trying to do. So this deck is built around the skill Favorite Duel, which is a skill based around Flame Wingman. So the skill has 2 effects. The first one is if you have a Neo-Spacian or an elemental hero in hand, you can discard it straight to the graveyard to send one elemental hero normal monster straight from the deck to the grave, or one Neo-Spacian straight from deck to grave. The other effect is if you've summoned a Flame Wingman during the turn, you can set one Skyscraper straight to your field from outside your deck. The skill also has a bunch of restrictions on it that basically force you into playing certain monsters, such as your elemental hero Flare Wingman, your elemental hero Shining Flare Wingman, and of course your bunch of Neos monsters, so cards like Brave Neos, Grand Neos, Aqua Neos, whichever ones you like. Now this deck's actual playstyle is pretty simple, as you could probably make it out from just the skill alone. The idea is to just get one of your Sparkmans in hand, one of your Avians in hand, or one of your Burstinatrixes in hand, all of which are searchable via Stratos, discard them to the grave, send another normal monster straight to the grave, whatever materials you need to summon whichever one of the fusion monsters you're going for, special summon it out, and then just dick your opponent thanks to the ability to put Skyscraper on the board as well. To back that up, we have a bunch of other things like your Neos Fusion to summon your Neos monsters, and of course you have your typical back row stuff like Book of Moons, your Cyclones, your breakthrough skills. I would have 3 Book of Moons but I only own 2. But yeah, it's pretty standard stuff, and as you'll see in the gameplay, it's not exactly the most advanced deck to play, so it's very, very easy to pick up. Alright guys, that's going to do it for the decklist portion of the video. Let's get into the gameplay. Alright, let's get into the replays. So as you can see, I have 5 replays to show you guys, all of which unfortunately were only recorded in Platinum, so that probably explains the 5 game win streak, but it's not horrible. And I do assure you, this deck is actually pretty decent. I'm not sure if it's it's definitely not top tier worthy, but it's definitely good enough to get King of Games if you're willing to play enough games. I wouldn't say it's gonna be the fastest King of Games climb, and I wouldn't say it's like equivalent to some Phantom Knight top tier deck or something like that, but it's definitely a good, decent deck, especially if you like to have fun with hero cards. Or if you just enjoy anime-specific decks, because I'm not sure you're going to get a good Flame Wingman deck anywhere else. Alright. So this time we're playing Harpies. So this is actually the second. I actually had 2 Harpy players and beat both of them. I think you're going to see both replays too. And it wasn't like they bricked super hard either. They both had fairly decent boards. This one wasn't the greatest. You only had one lot of spell activation, but... or one lot of his thing activation, but yeah. So you use Stratos to add an Avian to hand. This is so we can activate the skill. Well, first we're going to do Miracle Contact. Summoning out our Aqua Neos. We use Favorite Duel, sending the cards, sending the Avian, which then allows me to send the Burstinatrix to the grave as well, to add Miracle Fusion to hand. Miracle Fusion, summoning out Flame Wingman. That's its MST, is going to return, I think, this card to hand, I think? He doesn't know. He's unaware. Activating the Skyscraper because we summoned a Flame Wingman during this turn. Summoning out Brave Neos. Now, because we're swinging into a monster that has greater attack than my monster, the Skyscraper goes off, giving my monster 1000 more attack, so we can beat over his Harpy card. Also, whenever this card destroys a monster by battle, it deals damage to your opponent equal to that monster's attack. So in this case, 2600. So even without the Neos Fusion at the end, we actually just still had lethal. This man didn't know what the skill did. Alright, next up. To be fair though, we actually could have still added that skyscraper straight to the board, even if you returned the Flame Wingman to hand, because we just have to use it during the turn we summoned a Flame Wingman. It doesn't matter if it's still on the board or not. And skyscraper works on your other elemental heroes too, not just your Wingman. Alright. So I think this guy's playing Metal Foes, I think? Which is a deck I'm not super familiar with. Haven't played against it a whole lot, so... He summons out this dude. Now this guy's kind of annoying, because he sucks up one of my monsters when I try to summon it, so... Had to try to bait it out, or get it to summon up something I don't really care about too much. Alright, so we can activate our Mystical Space Typhoon, getting rid of the back row. Favorite Duel, doing the exact same thing as before. Miracle Fusion. Deciding to use the Flame Wingman first, because he's going to suck it up. I probably could have normal summoned this, to see if my opponent would maybe get baited into sucking this up, but I don't really care if he eats my Flame Wingman, so it's kind of whatever. Favorite Duel, putting the Skyscraper on board. Neo-Spacian, Brave Neos. Then we can use Aqua's effect to look at my opponent's hand, and then discard one card from his hand if it has less attack than one of my monsters on board. So we've got 2700, discarding his monster in hand, minus 500. And adding a Neo-Spacian to hand because we destroyed something. I feel like people, because I saw a lot of deck lists that weren't using this when I was looking through people who were trying to play this skill. I feel like this card is so drastically underrated. This card is so good. If you have like, just being able to look at your opponent's hand to get rid of core cards is so good. Yeah, I would always run this in any Neo-Spacian deck I ever make. It's so good. He summons out this dude, who unfortunately returns cards to deck or to hand, whichever one it does, which means we're not protected by Neo-Spacians in the graveyard, which protect us from destruction. But that's fine, because we've still got a Neo-Spacian in hand, so we're not too scared. Neo-Spacian, summon out Grand Neos. This is because we want to return this card to the deck, because this card, when it's sent to the graveyard, has an effect that activates, so we don't want to do that. We're just going to return it into the deck and be done with him. Now, during the end phase, during the end phase, this card normally would shuffle itself back into the deck, unless, of course, you have Neo-Spacians in the graveyard, which then lets you banish them instead. So do keep that in mind with your Neo-Spacians. You're not playing the normal Neo-Spacian skill that gives you the field spell that keeps them on board. They do have the massive downside if they do shuffle themselves back into the deck, so keep that in mind. So unless you're summoning Brave Neos, the other ones are kind of a bit of a gamble. Which does mean this deck can be kind of weak to cards like Kiteroid, because if you delay the deck, the monsters will just get shuffled back into the deck by themselves, which is pretty bad. But if you're just summoning Brave Neoses and Flame Swordsmen, it doesn't matter anyway. Which are the cards you summon most of the time, so. Alright, so this was definitely a Melodious player. I'm summoning some Maestro, summoning some stuff. Didn't go into his normal boss monster though, so that's pretty good. Not that it would have mattered, because we have cards that can return things straight into the deck anyway, like we showed last duel with Grand Neos, so he's protected from destruction, doesn't matter to us. Miracle Fusion, summon out our Wingman. Stratos can be destroying the back row. Hitting a super team, which is not too great, but it does mean that he now has no responses to anything we do. Skyscraper, Neo-Spacian. Grandma gonna be shuffling or returning to hand. And yeah, just instant concede. Alright, game 4. So a lot of the games are very quick, as you'll notice, but then again, it's kind of what Duel Links is. But the deck is super quick, as you do just kind of kill your opponent as soon as you summon out all your stuff. If you don't brick with this deck, and your opponent has like little to no disruption, you're just gonna roll over them. Even with like 1 or 2 bits of disruption, it can generally play through it quite a bit, especially if you get a Neo-Spacian opening hand. Neo-Spacian opening hand is just bonkers. Which has been a little bit easier this time now that it's been unlimited to 3 cards, so... Well, I shouldn't say unlimited, but... Anyway, we activate Book of Moon, turning his card face down. This means if he activates a spell card, or if we activate a spell card, he can't return Slang to hand. Miracle Fusion, going straight into our Flame Wingman. Stratos, going to be destroying one back row. Favorite Duel giving us the field spell. And unfortunately he has a Mystical Space Typhoon for it, so a bit rough. Egotist, which allows him to return one of my cards to hand. We do have a breakthrough skill. By the way, I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure why he didn't activate Fiendish Chain on the previous turn. Maybe he just didn't realize that Stratos was a non-target effect, so he couldn't just wait for it. I don't know. Either way. So we break through skill, negate his effect. He beats over my monster. Can't beat over the Stratos though. I activate breakthrough skill on his Harpy. For some reason he activates his effect to give me back a Stratos. I don't know why you'd ever want to give me back a Stratos. That's just a free search, so thank you I guess. Adding the Sparkman. Favorite Duel, sending the Sparkman. This now means we can Miracle Fusion into, because we've already got the Flame Wingman engraved, our Shining Flare Wingman. Which is basically the exact same card as Flame Wingman, only this card gains 300 attack for every elemental hero in graveyard. So it's basically just a bigger one. Sending our Mole, which can return the card, and he's dead. Did I say Mole? Anyway. Alright, I think I just had a sub alert go off. I'm sorry, I'm using my my stream setup, so apologize for that one. I'm not even going to turn it off, so if someone else subs during this, I apologize. Alright. Oh, King of Games play, oh no way. I should really bother to go climb to Cog again, I don't know man, been having too much fun with Master Duel to play a heap of Duel Links every month. Alright. So this is against a Valkyrie player. Haven't seen one of them in God knows how long. Deck's still a pretty competent deck though. Alright, seeing my 2 cards, getting Miracle Fusion, summoning out my boy Flame Wingman. He Floodgate Trap pulls it, which is a bit annoying, but can't do much about that. We still can activate Skyscraper though, so not too bad. Stratos adding Stratos. He does a bunch of stuff, summons a bunch of Valkyries. Now I could have Book of Moons, I think, a couple of these effects. A bunch of these effects I think were activated rather than on summon, but I don't know. I think I'm just gonna Book of Moon this thing when he tries to swing in with it. That's breakthrough skill. Mill's the top 3, which I don't know why you do that in my deck because we kind of like him doing that. Because now I got Neo-Spacian for protection in the graveyard. Kind of nice of him. Summons out another Valkyrie, destroys a card, then beats over the other one. Best top deck of my life, Neo-Spacian. Alright, gonna send the Sparkman to activate my Miracle Fusion. He then activates the this card, which allows him to banish 2 cards from my graveyard. And for some reason, he doesn't banish the Neos in here, which is like... I don't know why. Has he thought the Neo's Fusion protection was worth more? He banishes the Sparkman though, which is kind of annoying, so we can't summon Shining, but... I could just use the Neos with this Miracle Fusion now, so I can actually just get out of Brave Neos. He could just completely destroy the Miracle Fusion. Either way, they activate the Neo's Fusion, summon out another Brave Neos, summon Stratos, he does his negate. Doesn't matter too much to us though, so we can just beat over all this stuff. Give ourselves a Miracle Contact. And clear up his stuff. He sets a card. I use my big brain and swing in my weakest monster, so I miss lethal. We'll just ignore that one though. All intentional, just a bit BM. Okay, MSD's last card, does Tornado, and from here, it's already over. Alright, so that's going to do it for these replays. Hope you guys enjoyed them. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, hope to see you guys in the next one. Laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob?
Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis.
Oh.